So, Mark, did you see that Chat GPT fail on X? Somebody asked the AI when Wynn acquired the land that Silver Slipper was on, and the chat was just hilarious as the bot just couldn't get it right time after time after time. I guess our jobs are safe.
I love when you say, like, the bot's wrong. They're like, you're right. I am wrong. It was this. No, it's not that. Oh, I'm wrong again. Like, what is it doing here?
Yeah, it's great to follow this. I highly suggest reading through all of it. And it finally got it right at the end, only when the person basically gave it the information and then it said, oh, yeah, you're right. This is the information. Because Silver Slipper, of course, is where that empty piece of land where Wynn West is, used to be the Frontier site behind it. Both of those are that piece of land. And it just couldn't put them together, saying it was Mirage and then Bellagio. And it just kept going, naming other weird things. And yeah, ChatGPT not quite there yet.
You know how we can tell that it's, not a real person?
How?
Because it actually admits it was wrong.
Apparently 2024 is the year of the Northern Lights in Southern Nevada. The year I missed it twice now because I didn't get the memo that apparently there was a meteor shower and the Northern Lights exposed a little bit outside of Las Vegas. This is 0 for 2 and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was around here too, like out on the east side of the state over the water. I saw pictures in the Facebook group I'm in, and we had just left there like a day or two before. I don't think it really hit in the Metro Detroit area. So if we would have been out that way still for another night or two, we would have been able to see them. And I think they looked even cooler this time around.
There was meteors and it was crazy. This video is beautiful, the one that we have here to show you guys. And I would have definitely driven out there had I known about it. I'm so plugged into Vegas social media, yet I don't find out about this stuff until it's too late. So I don't know what the heck I'm doing.
Got to follow some weather apps or something, I guess.
Yeah, I got to do a better job of that. So a lot of interesting little stories this week, including Swingers Golf. That's the new golf going into Mandalay Bay. And this is going to be an indoor putt-putt course with an adult theme. And they have one in New York City, but they are opening in Vegas. And they finally announced the date. It's going to be November 8th that it's going to open. We don't know the pricing, but the New York City venue is $27 for 9 holes. This will have 36 holes of miniature golf spread across 2 stories. It's right near the parking garage where the old Rum Jungle was. And it looks kind of cool, but I don't think you're sold on it, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, it looks great, and I was all for it, and it's not outdoors like the other one we've seen that's more like traditional putting on real greens and all of that, but, during the summer, nobody wants to be out there doing that in the sun, so I figured, okay, this will be a bit better, inside, 36 holes, and then you see the price, and you're like, what? $27? Maybe for 18, I could be like, okay, that makes sense, maybe a little bit, but for 9 and you have 36 holes, do they think they're going to be filling all these up? Like with 4 sets of 9s at $27 a person? That seems crazy. Like I can golf a pretty nice regular golf course, 18 holes for 50 some bucks. I don't know where they're coming out with putt for $27 for 9 holes.
Well, they are going to have a DJ and there's going to be live music. Ooh. And there's a bar with overpriced drinks, I'm sure. And, Pop Stroke is pretty expensive, but we saw Atomic Golf has struggled. Prices kind of high and the location. So these golf venues, we've gotten a ton of them this year and none of them seem to be doing overly well. So we'll see how this one is. It's a little bit unique and it's indoors. That'll help. But $27 is New York prices. They still haven't determined Vegas prices. So it may even be higher. Yeah, exactly. We know it's not going to be lower.
Yeah. You know what this is going to be? Coming to a Groupon near you, it's going to be 2 for 1 after like 6 months of them having nobody. I don't know. The drink prices, I'm sure, are going to be crazy, which I'm okay paying drink prices. That's where you're going to make your money. If you have like a decent value add on the golf side of things, like putt of 9 holes, that'll take you like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, maybe less, depending if there's nobody in front of you. Like that's not worth $27.
Yeah, it's a strange thing. I don't know, but it looks cool. So we'll have to reserve judgment. November 8th. It's finally opening, and that's the last of these golf venues that were announced. Atomic Golf, Pop Stroke, and this, and of course, Top Golf. So we're all golfed out, plus all the other golf courses around town. Golf lovers rejoice. Here's another interesting story. There's a pop-up restaurant coming to Tableau at Wynn. What do you think the theme is?
I would think like something European since it's Wynn.
No, Cowboys, Texas Ranch. This is the steakhouse pop-up that's coming called 4-6's Ranch Steakhouse. And it's coming in September and very strange sort of theme for Wynn, but apparently it's going to have really high quality steaks. And it's going to have the first caviar tower in Las Vegas with potato tots, kettle chips, brioche toast, country fried chicken tenders, fire sauce beef tartare, and tortillas. So
none of that screams caviar to me. Or Texas. Yeah. I don't get it.
Or Wynn.
Yeah.
But because of that, it's all going to be great, I think. I think this is just so far out there for the Wynn sort of thing. I think it's going to be interesting. Tableau, of course, is located in the Tower Suite, so even more fancy, and what an interesting sort of thing. But it is a pop-up, and they've done some pop-ups in the last couple of years. I'm sure it's going to be great. Everything there is great, and I'm sure the prices will be high. What do you think the price on that Caviar Tower will be?
I don't know, $250. Who knows? But I know I do think like if anybody's gonna pull it off, it's gonna be Wynn. They seem to really, they don't really ever miss the mark, or not often. When you're saying high quality steaks and all that, I'm like, okay, I can see it, but the Caviar Tower just doesn't make a lot of sense to me with the stuff listed on there. But I'm not one for caviar to start with, so I'm the wrong target market here. It'll be interesting to see what people think when it comes out, but I always love pop-ups. It gives you something a little bit different. If you go to Wynn often and you've kind of already done everything a couple times over, this gives you something new to shoot for.
So on to DraftKings. A few weeks ago, we covered that DraftKings was going to charge a surcharge in high tax states for winning bettors. And yesterday, FanDuel came out and said they're not going to do that. And then within 2 hours of FanDuel saying that, DraftKings reversed course, realizing that they probably made a mistake and that everybody else wasn't going to follow them. And so we're back to the way we were before, no surcharge.
I mean, if you're going to play this game, you got to have the stones to play it through, I think. Because if they would have done it and they would have, not shown a big loss of gaming or what, I bet you everybody else would have jumped on. We see this in other industries like the airline industries, hotel industries. As one person adds a fee or cuts things, usually somebody else does too. So it's kind of funny, but I'm glad that, FanDuel came out and said no, because I think it was a stupid decision to begin with and kind of crazy, and it would have just confused people and wouldn't have been really great for the users. So I'm glad in that respect. I don't know how this plays out in the states that have the high taxes and everything. Like, do they end up just pulling back in those states? I don't know. They had such a high cost to get in there. I'm sure they want to ride it out, but it's interesting to see how this plays out.
Yeah, I think the backlash was something they didn't anticipate. And then probably the FanDuel thing was the last sort of straw, realizing that FanDuel was going to capitalize on this and just market heavily against it, saying, we're not going to do this. We're the company that doesn't charge you the surcharges. And they probably realized that it was going to do more harm to their business. But either way, they backtracked. And so I guess good on them. As a reminder, we have our Patreon. $5 a month gives you access to our weekly after show. Lots of fun there. Lots behind the channel laughing. If you like Mark's laugh, you get a lot more in the after show. You get your money's worth in laughs there. Patreon.com
You're right.
/MTM Vegas.
You're running people off, Sean.
So on to F1, a little bit of F1 news here. Some really good news, I think, some positive stuff to talk about. First, with Cosmo, they're going to have a viewing party at their Boulevard pool. I believe you will have views of the race course. It's over turn 14. I'm not quite sure of how much you'll be able to see of the race course. They'll have TV screens and stuff, but they're only charging $250 a day, and that includes like non-alcoholic drinks for the practice rounds and stuff, and then for the actual race, $350, or you can buy a combined package for all the days. This really doesn't seem that bad or expensive. Again, I'm not sure how easy it'll be to see the course if there's limited space up there to be able to see over the edge, but you should have some views.
Yeah, I think that's the big question is, will everybody that's there be able to get a chance to see the course, the live action, all that stuff? I think overall, the pricing makes sense. I think they're even throwing in some snacks and small finger food, stuff like that. So you got your food and drink cover. I mean, alcohol, you're going to have to pay a premium for sure, but adds value. We've seen this a bit more. The tickets aren't as expensive or crazy this year, maybe not as many grandstands out there even. So I think that, this is something I would consider if I was in town and I was interested. I think it's a good option, and maybe they can set up some type of, platform that you can see it better from. I don't know if that's even an opportunity there, but it would be cool if you can see it and then go grab a drink, watch it on TV too. I think it's a great setup.
I'm guessing you're not going to be able to see it just based on the fact that they're not highlighting that anywhere, and they're talking about the screen that's going to be there.
Lame.
You're certainly going to... You're certainly going to be able to hear it, right? You're going to be able to hear it and be in that sort of atmosphere. But I don't know how good the views of the race will be. And obviously, this is cheaper than a lot of the tickets. Also, probably the best deal of the weekend is going to be downtown. And we finally got some details of the Neon City Festival. This is their way to draw people downtown during F1. This is going to be a free festival for the whole family, they even say. They're going to have music. It's going to spread all across downtown Las Vegas from the Strat, the Arts District, all the way up to Fremont Street. Derek Stevens was sort of the spearhead of this, but all those business owners got together. We don't know what the musical acts will be, but there will be that, and It's going to be basically a downtown takeover of a festival for everybody to have a good time. Brilliant, and it's free.
Yeah, a lot of kids on Fremont after midnight, man. I think that's the future of this thing. But no, I think it's a good idea. I mean, we talked about last year how much everything struggled down there. The casinos, the restaurants, waiters and waitresses were making almost no money in tips for the whole weekend of F1. So I think it's cool to draw people down there, and it might give other people that were thinking about not coming into town for the weekend because of F1, it gives them another option of something to do, and maybe they're looking to stay down there. Prices are usually a bit cheaper, so it gives you variety a bit, and I like it. I think it's a good idea, and we'll have to see how it plays out and if it's popular.
Super interesting that Strat is kind of participating in this, so that's how far they're stretching it out. Sort of reminds me, Life is Beautiful years ago was all over downtown. It was a festival that sort of happened everywhere. And then we've talked about how that got truncated for the most recent version that's coming up. And this sort of feels like a return to that. It's just going to be everybody sort of enjoying downtown, things going on everywhere, specials going on everywhere. And it'll be a reason for tourists, even if they're in town for F1, to go enjoy downtown. And it's free. And that's, what they have to do to get people down there. And it's good to see them responding in that way. Make it free, bring people down and show them what downtown has to offer. And not just Fremont East, the Arts District. There really is a lot there that I feel like most tourists don't even experience.
Yeah, I actually prefer like Arts District and Fremont East nowadays. When 10, 15, 20 years ago, you wouldn't want to really go in either of those locations. I think both those things offer something unique and different. And Fremont Street experience is still great if you've never been, but if you've been there a lot of times and you've kind of experienced that, definitely go check out those other two areas and see what they have to offer.
Speaking of Fremont, this drone video just came out from Jaybird Films, and he's the guy who's filmed a lot of these drone videos. We showed one from Fremont East. I'm only going to show a few seconds of it here because his skill is just so off the charts with the way he does this, and I want you to go visit his page to see his video. So I'll just put a few seconds, but it is incredible and probably the best view of Fremont Street we've ever seen.
Yeah, it's so not. It's like so good that you think it's fake. Like maybe Chat GPT did it. We would messed it up.
Yeah, I mean, he's flying right over people's heads, and from basically the east side of Fremont Street experience all the way to the Carousel Bar at Plaza. Has some cool trick shots in there, but just the level of skill required to get as close to some of these signs and the things. And thankfully, he didn't crash it. This guy is incredible. His skills are incredible, and I just thought it was worth highlighting him.
Yeah, definitely go check it out. I enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed all his videos, and brings you unique views that you wouldn't see elsewhere, really.
So Raiders versus the police, that's our next story. And apparently the NFL is starting to require police officers who help, do overtime, help with stadium security, stuff like that, to use facial recognition, or at least that's a rule that's coming up. And the police union here says, no, we don't think it's safe to have our photos, our biometric data shared because the NFL will share it with their partners and who knows where it ends up. And it's a safety issue for police. So they're negotiating. So to start the season, the police will be there. But if they ever require this, it seems like the union is saying, no, we don't want to do this. And I sort of understand their point.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, especially what if one of these police officers ends up going undercover in the future or something like that? I think there's a lot of risk involved there. And I mean, sidebar of this is how many Raiders have been arrested so far this year? Is that still a thing going on in Vegas, or is it not as bad anymore?
Not as bad. I think they had that rough first year here, but I haven't heard any bad news coming from the team. I feel like the culture has shifted a lot. They've sort of settled in. There's tons of police required for all these events, and they're doing a great job. I mean, a lot of them are working overtime, working on their time off. And we have so many big events now with different sports and concerts and everything that these police are essential to keeping things safe. And I get, the move for technology and everything, but haven't police been sort of securing these venues for decades? We don't always need technology to fix things, especially when there's a valid sort of privacy concern. So hopefully they can figure this out and, work with the unions to do it.
Do they bring in private security and have them do it if the police back out and stuff, and they're probably not going to be as well trained and as well versed and everything, and they can't arrest anybody or do anything like that, so you lose that opportunity. I think that they'll come to their senses and figure something out that works for both parties.
And just a reminder, if you're going into any of these venues, they're using this data on you all the time now. James Dolan, I think, kind of became famous for doing it in Madison Square Gardens because he would make sure his enemies couldn't get into the arena, but it is spreading, and they're using facial recognition that they're going to go back. Some cities have announced if you get in a fight in the stadium, they'll go back and arrest you later. And so we are all in that sort of big brother thing when you're walking into the stadiums with them doing that. That's unavoidable, but certain people should be able to work around it. So on to the Sphere, Mark. And did you hear? So July 3rd and 4th, the Sphere has talked about how they're going to add sound to the outside. They announced this a few months ago. They're working through the planning process. But in early July, they did a test. And the test was so loud, it rattled all the windows and walls in the neighboring buildings of people who live in the area, and they were so upset about it. But despite that, the Planning Advisory Board has approved their plans to use sound on the outside of the Sphere. They'll be allowed to do it 18 days a year, and I think the max will be 87 decibels. They say the test in early July was louder than that. 87 decibels, still pretty loud. Now, it still has to go to the county commission for full approval, so it's recommended to be approved, but not approved yet. Residents aren't happy. But 18 days isn't terrible. They can't do it after midnight except for on New Year's Eve if this is approved. But, I think living next to the Sphere certainly is not as sexy as you would think it is with all the lights, the screens, and now the sound.
Yeah, definitely need some blackout curtains and you need some soundproofing happening. But when you bought, you didn't know that this was going to be coming. Like you didn't think anything of this, but you're also close to all the other lights of Vegas and everything like that. So I think you kind of expected a bit of that. You also kind of expect some noise coming from street levels and everything if you're living that close to the Strip. But yeah, this takes it to another level. When we first had talked about them adding sound outside, I thought it would just be like, speakers hidden around on like lampposts and stuff like you see with, lower music and everything, and figured it would just tie into some of the ads and things they have on the front. I didn't think it would be like this loud booming thing coming out, which they probably could have done it the other way and had nobody really fight it and do it as many days as they want. So interesting that they're doing it this route, and 18 days is such a random decision on what you're allowed to do.
Yeah, so I expect it'll be during big events and to kind of promote what's going on inside the Sphere. That would be my guess. And then things like New Year's Eve, other holidays, big events like Super Bowl would be a good example of when they probably would have done it. So yeah, that's what they're moving towards. It does seem like it's going to get approved, but it is not final yet. The recommendation is for approval. And let's finish with this. Goodbye, Mirage. So there is some more video of the destruction of Mirage as it continues. So you can see them tearing out, buildings near the Strip. But the saddest part, or I guess not the saddest part, but the Mirage sign, the neon, is now removed. There was a video showing it in the middle of the street. And the good news is it's going to the Neon Museum, so it will be saved. But it's sort of surreal to see it just sitting in the middle of Las Vegas Boulevard.
Yeah, it's kind of shocking and, surprising to see, even though it's coming. When you see it just like down there resting on the road, it's kind of crazy. But it's so great that the Neon Museum exists and they can keep a part of this history there for people to come and witness and see for years on down, even if it ends up on the rooftop of a parking structure. Who knows? It's cool that we have this and we have a place to go. And I know we say this every time we talk about it. If you haven't been, go. It's amazing. Well worth it. Way better way to spend 20, 25 bucks than going play 9 holes of putt-putt.
I was waiting. I wasn't sure if you were going to mention the parking garage or not. I was holding my breath. But you came through on that one for the MTM Vegas drinking game. But they are getting new signs, right? Tropicana closed. They're getting that glass ceiling. Now the Mirage sign. They're expanding, right? So they need more space. And that's good news. We talked on a previous show about how they're looking for new space in one of 2 spots. But they are moving the Neon Museum to a more tourist area instead of where it is currently. So lots of good news for the Neon Museum. There's a cool Neon Museum store in the airport too, in the Sea Gates. I passed by it. I have not filmed it, so I don't have footage of it. But just a shout out to them there. But let us know what you guys think about anything we talked about. The Mirage sign in the middle of the street, that crazy drone video from downtown. Cosmo F1, is that a good deal? Are you going to go to the festival downtown? Leave a comment. We do 2 shows a week, Tuesdays and Fridays, and we'll be back in a couple days with another show. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Have a good weekend, everybody.